Hi guys, this is Paul. Welcome back to GeeksLoveDogs, my Book Dragons channel. And this is The Good, the Bad, and the Books for April 21st, 2025. So let's talk about books and start with what I read. I finished Scott A. Ferguson Sr.'s Escape. Now, in case you weren't here for the channel last week, I talked a little bit about this. I do have a review up if you're interested. And the story behind this is Mr. Ferguson is an independent author. He's a retired Secret Service agent turned author, and he came into my job and we started talking. Met him and his wife. They're very nice people. And he told me he'd become an author, and I told him I'd review his book for the channel. And so I read it and reviewed it. And this is a YA dystopian alternate history book. It takes place in a country that's run by a fascist government. They are at war, and Abigail Henderson's family is killed and she is taken as a slave. She is sold on the auction block and luckily is sold to a very nice elderly doctor so that she can be an aide for his newly blind granddaughter Inga. The doctor is actually secretly helping the resistance by treating injured soldiers, and Abigail discovers this and is wanting to help. The first half of the book basically is a setup where you meet and learn about the relationship between Abigail and Inga and the doctor and the world they live in, the struggles she goes through trying to adapt as a slave living in that world. Then something goes sideways and the government finds out what has been happening, what the doctor's been doing behind their back, and the second half turns into an escape story, which get pretty harrowing at some points. There's a definite analog between the Jewish plight, the gypsy plight in the 30s and 40s. There's a definite feel, at least of the first half, of Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I don't want to get into too much detail because I said I did do a review and I found it to be an enjoyable book and a good opportunity for parents to have difficult conversations with their children. I'd say it's a good book for 12-year-olds about that age. I think the writing and the story's perfect for, but doesn't mean that you couldn't enjoy it at any age. I did finish that. Next up is Starship Seasons by Eric Brown. This is actually a bind up of 4 different books that he wrote, put together into one. Every one of them has a title for a different season, although they do take place years apart. It's not consecutive inside one year. It takes place over several years. It's basically about David Conway, who, after his daughter dies, retires to this resort planet by the name of Chalcedone, and he meets a cast of really interesting friends and characters that I really enjoyed. And each story tells a different adventure that David and his friends have on this planet. And despite the fact that I'm going to say it's almost like a cozy sci-fi, it's very fun, it's very relaxing. It's one of those books you can really sink into and just enjoy the cast, the character, and the planet. Chalcedone is its own character, and you learn a lot about the planet, and it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's what a lot of people read sci-fi for. The world building that's not overdone, that's not too expositional. It's done just right. The characters are unique and fun, and each of these adventures in itself is just a really good story. I highly recommend if you can get any of these stories. This book seems to be out of print. I can't find it, but might be able to buy them individually. If you can find this or any of them, I do suggest it. It was an absolute blast. It's a 5-star read. Loved it. I'm probably going to read more Eric Brown. It's my first Eric Brown. Just an enjoyable read all the way across. I also read Damn Glad to Meet You, My 7 Decades in the Hollywood Trenches by Tim Matheson. This is an autobiography of Tim Matheson. He tells his life story, his career, and it was fantastic. I loved it. It starts when he was a kid, tells his whole story about all the time he spent in Hollywood and all the people he's met, and it was absolutely I loved it. One of the best autobiographies I've ever read. I did it ebook and audiobook, and the audiobook is captivating because he's telling his story and he does it so well. He's so damn charming. Even when he tells you about the horrible things he did in his life that he regrets, you kind of almost don't get upset with him because he's just so damn charming the whole time. So if you're in the audiobooks, it's a good one for that. But yeah, if you don't know who Tim Matheson is, he was the voice of Johnny Quest. He was Otter in Animal House. He was on The West Wing. He's been running on that Netflix show Virgin River. He's been in more things and directed more things than I could possibly list here. But if you're into autobiographies, if you're into Hollywood autobiographies, this one is absolutely fantastic. It's another 5-star read this week. I'm having a good month and definitely a good week. As far as what I am reading currently, I'm still working on Knock Knock on my e-reader. I'm about a little over halfway through. It's a Southern Gothic style horror book, and it's enjoyable. I think it's for people who enjoyed like Blackwater by Michael McDowell. Somebody who enjoys something like that would probably enjoy this book so far. Like I said, I'm not finished. It's got a similar feel. I've only read the first book in the Blackwater though. More on that later. And I'm also reading currently William Gibson's Burning Chrome. This is one of the tripods of the base for Cyberpunk, along with Neuromancer and Snow Crash. And it's a reread. I haven't read it in years though, so I'm going back and reading it. This is definitely a book that deals more with feeling than story, the environment, the atmosphere of a book, and it's pretty interesting. I didn't remember it really well, so it's kind of almost feels new to me, other than maybe Johnny Mnemonic, which I knew pretty well. But yeah, it's a set of short stories that are cyberpunk based, and like I said, it's one of the basis of where cyberpunk started. Some of these were written before, some after Neuromancer by Gibson, and they're definitely interesting if nothing else. So that's what I'm currently reading. Now, what am I going to read? Well, I mentioned Blackwater by Michael McDowell, and I had read the first book, and I kept meaning to go back to it, and I never did. So I am going to read it electronically. I have the ebook and the audiobook. I'm going to try and get through that. I'm going to finally go back and read the entire 6-book story right through, all in one, so I can stop thinking about the fact that I want to get back to it and just finish it. I enjoyed the first book, so I'm hoping that the rest of it gets even better. I'm also going to start Pen Pal, a novel by Dothan Auerbach. This is pretty controversial opinion-wise, as I've heard it is, people either love it or hate it. I know it's supposed to be a horror. I've heard people say, well, it's not really horror, but I guess I will find out on my own because I will start it next week. So basically it says, in an attempt to make sense of his own mysterious and unsettling childhood memories, a man begins to reconstruct his past. As the games and adventures of his youth become engulfed in a larger story, he finds that it forms a tapestry of unbelievable horror that he never could have expected. Each chapter completes a different piece of the puzzle for you and the narrator, and by the end of it, you will wish that you could forget what he never knew. It sounds absolutely fascinating. I mean, it could be poorly done, but the concept, yeah, it caught my attention. I really like the way it sounds. So hopefully it's as good as it sounds for me. So that's what I'm going to be working on next week. Pen Pal and Blackwater. So very dark week coming up ahead. But like I said, I've had a really good month so far. So hopefully that'll keep up. And let's talk about the channel. I did this past week do, like I said, the review of Escape. That's up. And I also did a new segment that I'm trying called Spotlight On, where I profiled the Special X books by Michael Slade, a serial killer crime noir horror series about a Canadian special unit that chases down serial killers. I loved it when I was younger. It's still something that I think should be read, and so I did a spotlight on it. That's up if you want to check it out, hear more about that series. It's a great series. If you're into crime, horror, and serial killers, then this will be up your alley. It's not for the faint of heart though, so keep that in mind. And Sunday morning, Easter morning, I posted a book haul that I wasn't expecting to make. It was one of those spur of the moment things because I found a ton of books at Goodwill, which never happens. Normally Goodwill is devoid of anything interesting, but I found like 20 books and brought them home, and I did a book haul for it, so that should be up. Check it out if you're interested in some old sci-fi paperbacks. If you're into that kind of thing, then check it out. I found some really interesting stuff. It's sci-fi and fantasy, to be honest, so yeah, definitely check it out if you like old school paperbacks. And coming up on the channel this week, we'll be continuing the book haul week, because I have my standard paperback book haul that I've been doing this week. That'll end eventually, but not for several months, the way it's going. And I will be doing that Wednesday. And then Friday, hopefully, will be my April monthly normal regular book haul, which is all the standard stuff I bought over the last month from all different sources, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever else may be. This is versus the paperback book haul where I spotlight, old school paperbacks and such. Yes, they are different, and yes, I am getting out of hand, and yes, I am going to be buried under the porch. So if I go missing, address all correspondence to Paul Under the Porch by care of my wife. That's coming up this week. So, and then beyond that, I'm going to try and do Marvelous Mayhem month, where I'm going to change up the TBR game. This will be something I do probably twice a year, in May for Mayhem month, and in September, which is my birthday month, bookending the summer, to try and just do something a little different, have a little fun, and make sure I still enjoy my reading in the channel. So if you want to know what that is, check out the channel and see what we have planned. So that's my channel stuff. Let's go on to random stuff like, what did I watch? Well, to be honest, I really haven't been watching this month much of anything except for a lot of YouTube, and I started watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. Big hockey fan, so that's about all I've been watching this week, so don't be too disappointed without a commentary on a bad movie I watched. I'll be back with that soon enough. I'm hoping actually to start Daredevil Reborn, because Daredevil is one of my superhero favorites. Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Moon Knight, and love them. So hopefully I can get that or finally started with watch it with my wife and get deep into that. And so anyway, then what did I listen to? I listened to one of my favorite 80s bands, Wasp, in this case, The Headless Children. It's an amazing album. Not their best, not my favorite by them, but still a good album. And I'm still amazed 40 years later that they could do, during the 80s, it was mandatory to put a ballad on every album, even for a band like Wasp, who is not a ballad type band. But it amazes me that a band like this could still put out something as quality for a ballad as Forever Free. It's a great song, a lot of great songs in this album. It's very underrated. But Forever Free has this, it's a 5-minute song, but it has this slow bring up to a mid rock, and then it breaks into this bridge of really hard rock, and then comes back down to this great ballady mid rock. It's just fantastic. But I don't know if you're into metal, but 80s metal, I listen to all kinds. Wasp, Headless Children, and that's what I listened to this week, if you're interested. And that was basically my week on the channel. Like I said, go check out my Special X Spotlight on and the Escape review video. And like I said, I have a book haul that went up Sunday, and I have 2 more coming up this week. And yeah, I know it's ridiculous. Hopefully you don't mind the book hauls, but I keep acquiring stuff that I don't have room for. I spent my entire Saturday afternoon off instead of sleeping, cleaning out bookshelves so I could start adding new stuff to it and putting things in the attic. I got like 8 or 9 bags full plus 2 totes that I had to move in order to accommodate the new stuff. So you'll be seeing more and more of that stuff come up. So check out the book haul videos that I'll be posting this week, and then we can move on to other things hopefully soon after. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. I love you guys, and remember, the secret to Zen: read books, pet dogs, and listen to heavy metal.